Viewer discretion is advised.
What up, Heel Faction? Welcome back to Heel Shit. Why do we call it that? Because bad guys do heel shit. I'm Dark Cordz. That's Draven Grimes. This is Talkin Shit. We've got a special guest with us tonight. Pondering Politics is in the house. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, what's up, fellas? Good to be with you.
All right, we're gonna start off with just some a couple pieces of wrestling news, a pop culture story, and then we'll get into politics. We'll do it all right when we get back.
Cool. Living fast, we ain't slowing down. Always ready to turn heads around. Heel Shit Podcast, where the bad boys reign. Never following the norm, always causing pain.
All right, how's everybody doing?
I'll let you know tomorrow when it's Friday.
Yeah, I am looking forward to Friday. It's always better.
Yeah, good.
This is the most Mondayest. This is the Mondayest Thursday I've been in a while.
So true. Real quick before we get into the politics stuff, quick bit of wrestling news. It looks like the WWE has signed the Lucha Brothers. Is that right, Draven?
Correct. Ringside just produced the story. Multi-year contract, no NXT, straight to the main roster. This isn't the first tag team they've signed this week either. They've also signed the Machine Guns this week.
Yeah, we talked about that on Monday, though.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Yeah.
2 tag teams, this caliber, going straight to the main roster.
Yeah, great. The other thing that happened this week is, I don't know if anyone's heard, but Diddy got arrested on federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges. This stems from, apparently he's been having these parties where he's just having a ton of people like bang out these chicks, and he's like flying them to other places. When they searched his home, this is the part of the news that's important today. Okay. They searched his home. They found 768 dildos, over 1,000 bottles of lube, and a stockpile of IV and IV fluids. So he was running these fuckers ragged.
Jesus.
Got the fluids in case, so you don't OD and you don't tire out. Good God. And
Jesus.
I mean, we had a whole episode on the Diddy situation, but it's been a long-standing thing in the industry, and it's starting to come out that it's true that he was trading record contracts for young men's asses. All right, Puffy has been swinging that way since I knew him when he was Puffy. So he's been no bueno. Not that it's a problem, but especially dude trying to portray a character that he's not, and it's not that they're gay acts, but it's the same thing as Harvey Weinstein. It's like, give it to
Predatory.
me. Yeah, it's completely predatory.
Yeah.
So anyway, now that we've gotten past the pleasantness, let's talk about some politics, man. Any breaking politics news we need to know before we move on?
And just say probably the stuff going on with Mark Robinson, the lieutenant governor of North Carolina, Republican, who's running to be governor of North Carolina. Now that the incumbent guy by the name of Roy Cooper, Democrat, he's term locked. He's no longer eligible for office. So the race is between Robinson, Republican, and Democrat by the name of Josh Stein. Robinson's probably the craziest Republican motherfucker in the country, and that's saying something when you consider Carrie Lake, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump himself. Yeah, Google this guy. It's unhinged, and I haven't gotten a chance to like dive deeply into all the breaking news today, but apparently he was they have records of him on a porn forum where he announced that he was a black Nazi. and that he engaged in some sort of like threesome with his wife's sister, his friend. He talked at length about eating ass. It's like this whole thing. And that is the Trump-endorsed Republican gubernatorial candidate for the great state of North Carolina, my state. So yeah, that's breaking news. And as a consequence, it's been rumored that he might even drop out of the race and totally basically capitulate to the Democrats, all but guarantee that they win the governor's mansion this year. And all the scandals he's been part of. So like he says that he's the guy who said famously that, you know, some people just need killing. He said all kinds of unhinged things about trans people, gay people. He says, even though he's a black man, he's talked about how slavery needs to come back. So he's been dragging the state down for Trump, even though Democrats have not won the presidency from North Carolina, like they haven't won the electoral college votes from North Carolina since President Obama in 2008. The vice president is now competitive with Trump in North Carolina. So he may screw everybody on the Republican side in this, which is just chef's kiss. That's glorious.
No, that's
that's the breaking news.
That is some breaking news. Interesting. Yeah. So Trump endorses ass eating, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's if actually now they're probably feverishly updating the website to be like to like give his policy position on ass eating. You go to Trump45.org. There's no telling.
The key is, that's my joke about Laura Loomer. You know, she had a crazy rhinoplasty.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, you can see it on her face. Yeah, she's like she reminds me of 1989 Jack Nicholson Joker. You know, the Tim Burton movie. I mean, like. You know, and actually, I'm not even convinced it's plastic surgery. I think it's just like the toxicity in her soul just bursting forth on her face. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would need to see the receipts.
This bitch is just one of the most evil people I've ever seen.
Agreed.
And that's coming from someone who does evil for a living. So I know evil when I see it. Sorry. Now, I got some inside sources, and you may not have heard this, but there are rumors that they're fucking eating dogs in Springfield. I don't know if anyone's heard this or not, but JD Vance, a very reliable source, told us there were people eating dogs in Springfield. Do you have any comments on that?
Dogs and cats, according to JD Vance. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy shit. I mean, he was kind of the genesis of it, and then Trump took it to a whole new level during that disastrous debate with the vice president, where just out of nowhere, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs.
Just out of nowhere.
Just, yeah, I mean, like, sir, this is a Wendy's. You know, just like, come on. And, you know, that was probably, of all the many viral moments in that debate, that was the one that went viral the most. And, I mean, it is, you know, those of us with a dark sense of humor, it is funny. And then the sad thing is, though, is like the real world consequences for the Haitian community in Springfield, because number one, they're not undocumented migrants. The overwhelming majority of Haitians there, I suppose we can't say with 100% certainty that 100% of them, but the vast majority of them are there legally. They're just in Springfield. Okay. Right. So they're not breaking any laws. And of course there's no evidence that they've eaten the cats and the dogs. As a matter of fact, the woman who kind of broke the story on Facebook, it was a rumor she heard from a neighbor, and she has since deleted the Facebook post, and she is like publicly apologizing. She's like, I just heard it from the neighbor. I shared it on Facebook. I didn't mean for it to become this whole fucking racist thing by the Republicans. And there have been bomb threats reported in, school closures, the FBI is on site.
I'm absolutely convinced that these bomb threats are directly related to the city council and the mayor refuting Donald Trump's claim that there are people eating cats. Like, I think I think it's gotten to the point where if you publicly embarrass Donald Trump, you're fair game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously I have no proof of that, but it's not exactly outside the realm of possibility when we see how far MAGA's, you know, just, I mean, I shouldn't even say MAGA. MAGA's always been a cult, but how much the Republican Party has become MAGA, you know. I mean, it's one of those things I tell my audience this on my channel all the time. It's like, You ever run into those situations when it comes to Trump that somebody will say something and it's like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that fucking unhinged thing that he did or one of his followers did. You just totally forget about it because you don't have the bandwidth to remember it all. You know, you would need to devote like an artificial super intelligence or like some sort of like IT department to keep track of all the crazy shit that Trump and MAGA have done. But yeah, I can't say that it's outside the realm of possibility that these bomb threats are retaliatory.
Yeah, I mean, it just, to me, it just fits the MO. I mean, it could be. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch of the imagination, but they've done worse. They've sent bombs to Congress people. They've
to CNN too.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny you've mentioned that because like that's some of the things I forgot about that. I actually had to watch someone on CNN. I think it was either Anderson Cooper or Jake Tapper remind me about that during like a montage rebutting the pearl clutching that we see from these MAGA Republicans. Oh, don't talk shit about Trump. Oh, don't criticize Trump. It's inciting violence against him. Meanwhile, they can say the most unhinged shit about anyone they want. And as people on CNN have pointed out, Trump supporters have mailed CNN pipe bombs. To your point, they've mailed Congress people pipe bombs. We have MAGA Trump supporters who have been arrested for threatening to murder President Biden, Vice President Harris, former President Obama. But we just forget about all of it.
Yeah.
And we hyperfixate on, other stuff about Trump. And he just gets away with so much shit.
Yeah, and the news happens so fast now, and like I'll decide to, God forbid, watch a movie, and like halfway through I'm like, I wonder what's going on out there. Like it's gotten ridiculous. It's gotten ridiculous. So let's kind of rewind the machine to the Biden Trump debate.
Sure.
What was your feeling on how he would going into it? Were you already on the side of people wanting him to step down by that point? Like where were you and what did you think?
So I didn't want President Biden to seek re-election long before the debate. Like when he announced that he was seeking re-election, I told my audience, I'm like, I'm kind of disappointed because I was hoping he would be a transition president for a few reasons. Number one, he hinted, he didn't commit that he would be, but he did publicly say that he was leaning more towards being a transition president when he ran in 2020. So I thought it would just be kind of, commensurate with what he was putting out there. Number one. Number two, by the time the president announced that he was seeking re-election, his popularity was already underwater, right? After he withdrew from Afghanistan, he went from being a popular president, the trajectory started to decline, and nothing that motherfucker did ever put him above water. I'm convinced Joe Biden could cure cancer, and 55% of the country would just be pissed because milk costs more than it did in 2018. Fuck cancer. It doesn't matter. My milk costs more. Fuck you. Yeah. And listen, I understand that grocery prices can be brutal. I understand that. But the blame that they have put on Biden specifically, I think is undeserved. So I felt that he should have just kind of followed through with what he was putting out. Number two, I didn't think that he would be able to turn his approval rating around. And sure, I had questions about his age, just like anybody else. The problem that I had was Trump was also showing signs of aging. And the difference between Biden and Trump is that Biden is smart and Trump is stupid. And so if they're both in quote unquote cognitive decline, would I rather have a smart senile person or a dumb malignant narcissist senile person running the country? Sure. So it's still no contest for me in terms of who I preferred. When it comes to the debate, my asshole was clenched before the debate, and then 5 minutes into the debate, I mean, my heart just dropped. I got sick to my stomach. I'm like, I can't watch this. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I have a low cringe threshold, so when I see like reality TV cringe, I can't watch it. Yeah, you remember William Hung singing on American Idol? Like, yes. I don't find that shit funny.
Yeah,
it just
I can't. It's embarrassing. Like,
right.
Like I remember sitting in some movies, and I don't know why. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But like when the character like fumbles or plays the clumsy person and the shit happens, I'm like so embarrassed for them. Like it's not. Right. You're right. It's not funny. It's not.
No, yeah, you get secondhand embarrassment. I mean, I get that, and so I had a really hard time with that debate, watching Biden implode like that, and then afterwards, I'm thinking to myself, I didn't want him to be the candidate, but I was on the fence, like, Jesus, we've never had this situation before. Is it possible to have someone take his spot this close to the election without completely shitting the bed? And so I was torn on it, but eventually he was persuaded to drop out. I'm glad he did. And the people who called on him and were calling on him to drop out, they were vindicated, because the polls are the polls, and the vice president's doing better than Biden ever did at this point in the race. And she is right now winning the election. So it was a good call by Biden.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we're gonna do our minute with Minor. This is Minor Cordz.
Hello. So I literally realized today that I peaked when I was 9 years old, and
In what way?
in my
Jesus Christ.
flipping way, because
Oh, you're tumbling.
yes, because literally I used to be able to wake up in the morning out of bed and do a standing back tuck, and now I have to do some sort of ritual that I haven't figured out yet to do a standing back tuck. I cannot do it, and I literally cried today at practice because I peaked at 9 years old.
You didn't peak at 9 years old, kid. You don't tumble every single day. You're not doing flips every day. So it's just gonna take some time to go out in the yard and do backflips.
No.
You go out there and do
Out
back bumps. Then.
there.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
Hi. Hi, sweetheart.
All right.
How do you know my dad?
Get out of here.
I want the answer.
Yeah.
You already know how I know your dad.
Get the hell out of here. Jesus Christ.
Like father, like daughter. Jesus.
She's got to go practice her tumbles.
Tell her to go take a back
She
bump.
used
She'll be
to,
fine.
Go ahead. Oh, about your segment. Minute with Minor. Yeah, we used to have a normal, like every time we had this show, we had a minute with Minor, but she kind of fumbled during the summertime.
Busy girl.
I know. Close the door and get out of here. Yeah, it's a live show, folks. What we're gonna do. So yeah, I felt like really the same way. Well, not necessarily going into it, because in my opinion, even though I follow it pretty closely, they made him look really good, like leading up. I was watching the scripted speeches, and he sounded passionate, and he was to me, I was like, maybe it's not as bad as they say it is. Maybe we're overreacting about this thing, but no.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to do as badly as he did by any stretch. But Biden's a gaffe machine, and there's no doubt that he is visibly older than what he was 3 years ago. The presidency, that's the other thing too. Here's kind of a silent giveaway that Donald Trump was a shitty president and really wasn't involved in running the country when he was president.
I know where you're going.
Is because it didn't really age him. Like it did physically, in the sense like his face isn't as round as it was in 2016. He has sagging skin. But look at what that job did to George Bush, Barack Obama.
Yeah. He aged 20 years in that 8 years.
100%. And President Biden aged 20 years and 3 years. And to me, that's a sign that one of them was actually engaged, hands-on, doing the fucking job. Yeah. And the other one was just kicking back and using it as an excuse to collect power, foreign emoluments from China and other countries as well, and basically trying to kick back money to his real estate and to his kids and stuff like that. So, yeah, I was worried just because I knew he was going to screw up verbally, but Trump does too all the time. And so I thought, okay, it's just going to be these two old men kind of like misspeaking back and forth. But Biden totally shit the bed. And I think in catastrophic ways. Of course, the funny thing is Trump did a really bad job too. Like he lied his ass off and he also didn't answer questions. Biden at least tried to engage substantively. But people grade Trump on a curve. So he just got to skate right on by.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And I want to talk about that too, grading Trump on a curve in a minute, because I want to talk about this
Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan nonsense. That
Yeah.
yeah. But we'll get into that after a quick word from our sponsors. Havoc Energy Drink is the energy drink for gamers and streamers by gamers and streamers. Not only does it have the B vitamins and caffeine that you're used to in your energy drinks, but it also has a healthy dose of creatine for mental acuity to help you win that next game or focus through that next stream. Go to tryhavocenergy.com and use our code HSP10 for 10% off your order. Again, that's tryhavocenergy.com. Use the code HSP10 for 10% off your order. Also, Amazon Music Unlimited. The deal has changed, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you're a Prime member, if you use the link in the description, you get 4 months free. If you use, what is Prime Days? On Prime Day is coming up, October 8th and 9th. If you're not a Prime member, you still get 3 months free. So check out the link in the description, and get 4 months free. Pretty good deal, I'd say. Thank you, guys. So following the debate, it was very. I mean, like I said, I think the Democrats did a good job kind of keeping the issues close to their vest, because even though there was a little bit of chatter. Even the day before he dropped out, the White House was saying he had no plans to drop out. So it kind of, I'm sure it came as a shock to a lot of people who don't follow very closely and didn't hear the rumors going around. But it was interesting how on both his mental decline and this decision, they kept it really close to the vest.
Yeah, So again, I can't speak to the extent to which Biden's mental decline is indicative of that debate. Like, I don't think. Let me put it to you like this: is Biden as mentally acute as he was 3 years ago? No. Even 2 years ago? No. But I'm not convinced that debate was representative of the man, most days out of the week. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, and according to people who did have doubts about Biden and wanted him to drop out, even they were stunned. Like this, even the people who were like, yeah, I think Biden has slowed down enough that he needs to step aside. Even they were stunned by how bad that debate performance was. So I just want to say, I don't think that's indicative. But when it comes to him dropping out, yeah, I think it's one of those things where there's no way the campaign can even hint that they're going to drop out, even if they know, in an hour I'm going to drop out. Like they have to play that close to the chest. No, of course we're not dropping out. No, of course we're not dropping out. Then we do. And they have to play it that way in the media, because otherwise, if you say, oh, I'm thinking about it, or, oh, I might, then it gives just a huge political vulnerability that will generate its own news cycle. So it's one of those things that you just have to act ruthlessly and decisively. And he did. And I was kind of surprised. Number one, I was surprised that he dropped out because, Biden's this Irish Catholic, octogenarian who's well known for his stubbornness, and he was reportedly pissed that people were trying to get him to drop out. I thought he'd double down. Especially, think about it, you're the most powerful man in the world. Like, who gives that up? George Washington's the only one prior to Biden to give it up like this. Mm-hmm. But they were able to finally convince him. So he makes his announcement on Twitter. Then 30 minutes later, he announces that he's endorsing the vice president. And then I think it was a day or two later, he gave a formal address from the White House behind the Resolute desk, explaining his reasons. And nobody, I just want to say, nobody can force Biden out. Again,
sure,
there's no mechanism to force him out. It was his decision. So when people say they forced him out, they put pressure on him. Sure, but they had a right to put pressure on him if they didn't think that he was going to win the goddamn election. So I think people behaved as responsibly as they could, including Biden. And I think he will go down in history, not just as a successful one-term president for all the reasons we could get into if you wanted to, but because he gave up power, which is something we really haven't seen in this country since President Washington.
Yeah, no, definitely. Very, very mature and very a decision made, obviously for the good of the nation. What were you happy with the pick of Harris?
Neither Biden nor Harris were my first picks. The vice president has never been particularly popular. I think she's an excellent debater when she wants to. She was, as a senator from California, she was kind of like the dreaded prosecutor when Republicans like Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr and future Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh had to go before her Senate committees. She went viral so many times, basically ripping them a new one. But Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, these are people that I thought were, had more natural charisma to them. Governor Walz, Josh Shapiro, I felt that they had more inherent political talent. But she is very smart. She's very talented. She was not my first choice, but the thing is, she is a quick study. So one of the things I think that justifies the decision, besides the fact that she was the vice president, right? So typically the president is either term locked or chooses not to run. You look to the vice president because that's the de facto second in command. She's a quick study, man. I mean, she was on the horn with all those delegates. She was the one whipping delegates, whipping votes. She got those votes like that. Technically, people could have contested it. People could have challenged her. Sure. But she acted so decisively that there was no contest. And then you see her give a speech, and she's killing it at these rallies. She's killing it with Governor Walz. Is she the best interviewee? No, but she's going to, again, once she does more of them and more of them, I think that you're going to see her, increase her skills pretty dramatically. So, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that I was coconut pilled from the beginning, but she's an obvious talent, and I prefer her to Trump.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big Pete Buttigieg fan. I just don't know. Hopefully, in 4 or 8 years, the country will be ready to take that.
Will be liberal enough for a gay president. Yeah.
Yeah, because to me, he's brilliant. He speaks better than anyone else in the party right now. Probably the best speaker since Obama.
Yeah, no, he's rhetorically very gifted. He is an excellent debater. He's young, so he has skin in the game. He's a veteran, and so like he has so many check marks for him. But to your point, there's a question about to what extent homophobia is still prevalent enough in this country to kill a presidency of his. It's entirely possible. But the thing is, we have a pretty good bench in the Democratic Party. Again, Whitmer, Shapiro, Beshear, Newsom, J.D. Pritzker, Walz. We've got a pretty solid bench. The question was who was going to be the standout, and I think most people agreed if it's not Biden, it's almost certainly going to be the vice president.
Yeah, and I was really conflicted when it was leading up and should he drop out, should he not, because I had always felt like the incumbency and the winning of the primary were two almost unfalpable essentially it's hard to beat an incumbent because they have the incumbency advantage. They have they have a record.
They have name recognition. They have again, he won the primary. It's not like he was untested. He won the primary decisively. He won the primary better than Trump won the Republican primary. You know what I'm saying? So like, I take your point. And that also was part of the reason why I was hesitant. Like, I'm not one of those people who just makes like bold political predictions for the hell of it. I predicted Donald Trump would lose to Hillary Clinton in 2016, and I was dead ass wrong. And ever since then, I got out of the fucking prophecy business. I'm like, I don't have a crystal ball. I can give my opinion, but I don't make predictions. That one threw me for a loop. And so, yeah, I was on the fence too. And I saw that people were making pretty compelling arguments. And that was why I actually got a lot of shit, funny enough, from members of my audience who thought I was insufficiently loyal to Biden. I'm like, you guys, listen, I punch right. I don't punch left. So I'm not spending my time bitching at President Biden, even after that disastrous debate. But this idea that we can't even have the conversation about what is best for this party is insane. That's Trump shit. That's MAGA shit, And so I'm so glad that we don't have that in the Democratic Party as a whole, that we are willing to publicly, if we genuinely believe it's the right thing to do, we are willing to publicly criticize our presidents in ways that, MAGA Republicans simply won't, because they're too much of a pussy.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked. The reason why I'm jumping to this is because you said Trump beat Hillary. How do you feel about the election system in this country, as opposed to say other democracies and with our electoral system? Like, how do you feel? What do you feel about the political system, especially the presidential election system in the country?
I think we have an antiquated and really fucked process. So it's funny that Republicans spend so much time bitching about affirmative action because there's so many institutions in this country which are affirmative action for Republicans, like the Electoral College. These fuckers feel that they can't win a fair fight, that they can't win a popularity contest, that they need a leg up in every situation. That's precisely what the Electoral College is and was from the very beginning, to try to give these red rural conservative states an outsized influence over our elections. I think it's fucked. I think we need to abolish the Electoral College, or have enough states engage with the interstate compact, which would basically nullify the Electoral College and award all the votes to the winner. And then I think we have to tackle gerrymandering in this country, and Democrats gerrymander too, just not as much, and not as ruthlessly. We got to deal with that. But the difference is, I'm willing to roll the dice on a popularity contest. What's funny is I actually have more faith in the Republican Party than they have in themselves. I actually am convinced, it's happened before, that if Republicans pick sane, likable candidates and don't pursue sane, unlikable, unpopular policy ends, I think they could win majorities in the legislature and in the White House just by appealing to people. They have convinced themselves that that ship has sailed, and they're not trying to win people over. They're trying to appeal to institutions so they can just basically have minoritarian rule. That absolutely needs to change. If you want to win power in this country, you should persuade more people than your opponent. It's that simple. That's how every other advanced democracy on earth does it. There's no reason not to do it here, unless, of course, you know that you're an unpopular fucking loser who needs an artificial leg up because you can't compete. And that's the GOP.
100%. Yeah. No, I agree with you. It never made sense to me. Well, it makes sense because of, the states and things, but it doesn't, it very rarely picks the most popular person because of the tendency that it is affirmative action for Republicans. I don't believe that in my lifetime a single Republican has won the popular vote.
No, that they have, but it's the twice in your lifetime they've lost so George W. Bush, obviously famously in 2000, he lost the popular vote to Vice President Gore, and then Trump in 2016. That's my thing. The sad thing is, it is possible. It is possible for Republicans to win the popular vote, but they're not even trying now. Instead, they're retreating further to the right, knowing that it's driving away, obviously, liberals, but even independents as well. That's the thing. They have convinced themselves that if you got rid of all the political affirmative action, gerrymandering, the Electoral College, and you make it so that it's easy for eligible voters to register to vote and vote, they are afraid that Lindsey Graham famously said, "You'll never have another Republican elected official." Like, that's insane. For them to think that, they really have to think that they're fucking losers. They have to think that they're bigger losers than we think they are, and we think they're losers. So it's so insane.
It really is. It really is. So let's move on to the first assassination attempt. What was your, because we probably all found out at the exact same time, what was your initial thought? And as more facts came out, what do you think of, who this person was? Do you think, because I'm cynical as shit. All right, so immediately I was like, Trump set this shit up. Like, I was immediately on board with he did it to garner sympathy bullshit. Obviously, that was a fleeting thought because I am cynical as fuck.
Sure.
But what was your initial thought when you heard, assassination attempt on former President Trump?
I had two cynical thoughts. The first one, so it's funny, I was in an Uber with a buddy, and we were on our way to go see you said you're 45. I don't know what your music tastes are, but I'm a big 80s music fan. Journey's my favorite band. Def Leppard's my second favorite. And we were on our way to see Styx and Foreigner.
Okay.
And the Uber was literally pulling up to the concert, to the amphitheater, and my phone was just blowing the fuck up. And I saw the notification. I see like 5 seconds worth of footage where he grabs his ear and drops to the ground. And my first thought was a fleeting thought, just like you, like, this has got to be a setup because, you know, there's been no serious high profile attempt against him since he became president, really since he entered politics. It's possible that there were incidents that Secret Service has not disclosed to the public, as is often the case. But I'm thinking to myself, it's probably not a Democrat. I feel like that's unlikely. So it must be some Trump. Maybe he set this up because he needed to make a decisive electoral strategy here, you know, kind of clinch the win. Then I'm like, no, it's conspiratorial. We have no evidence. Then my second thought was, we've lost the election. This is it. It's over. It's done. It's absolutely done. And then, of course, it turned out that he didn't get any meaningful bump in sympathy.
None
in the polls.
whatsoever.
Yeah, from like he is like Donald Trump is so fucking unlikable to most people that getting shot in the head gets him no points from anybody. That's insane. Like, do you know how much of a piece of shit you have to get nothing from people?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was kind of stunned at that, but
I've hated Trump for way longer than he's been in politics. I mean, I was alive and heard about the Central Park 5 shit, you know, the unfair renting, you know, issues. He's always been a piece of shit.
yeah, he's been a prick long before he entered politics. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Now, so the shooting happened. Unless something miraculous has come out, even though before the fireman's body hit the ground, J.D. Vance tweeted Biden did it. Like, these are the most despicable fucking human beings on the planet. But unless something's come out, even though the Dems have been blamed for it, he was a Republican, right?
Yeah, so he came from a conservative background, conservative family, and he had like ideological affiliations with the Republicans. But his political motivation, like the investigation, like the results that I've seen or the updates I've seen, were that there was no known political motivation here. Because as a matter of fact, he was also researching campaign stops by President Biden. So unless something has changed, investigators are working under the premise that Thomas Crooks is his name, that the reason he went after Trump was because Trump was closer and he thought an easier target. So if it had been Biden who had been closer and outdoors, this guy could have conceivably taken a shot at Biden,
Right.
Based on what he was researching. So it was pure opportunism. The guy was just clearly mentally unwell. But yeah, he had no known affiliation ideologically or anything else with the Democratic Party.
What, because you always hear these guys saying, oh, he gave money to the Democratic cause or whatever. And I'm like, dude spent more on lunch on his way to shoot Trump than he gave to the Democratic Party. Like, have you heard like what the legitimacy behind that is? You know, did he give to these causes?
So so honestly, I can't even remember because there's been so much. I know that the second shooter had made multiple donations to Democratic causes in 2019 and 2020, but it was still like, triple digits, I think, in total. So just a few $100s over the span of 2 years. But I can't remember if the first shooter donated anything to the Democratic Party.
I think there was like a $15 that I don't know. I seem to remember that he gave $15 to some Democratic outreach program. I don't know.
It could be, because there again, like when it comes to donations, I'm in my mind, it's kind of swimming here, because the judge presiding over Trump's case in New York also donated $35 to a pro-Democrat super PAC back in 2020. So like when I hear Trump and Democratic donors.
Yep.
I've got like 3 or 4 different things I'm pulling from. But yeah, honestly, just in the moment, I don't remember if the first shooter donated to anybody.
Yeah, it's just been a MAGA talking point since it occurred. Now, I don't want to say the best part, but the most entertaining part that came out of the shooting was Destiny losing his mind. Like, that dude went... I'm a huge Destiny fan. I'm Team Destiny, but it was just hilarious watching him, because that started a point, I think something changed, and he was like, just an attack dog now.
Yeah.
And it's been entertaining as shit, and I'm here for it. But I don't... How long have you known him, and like, what was your reaction when he was going off like that?
I became acquainted with Destiny, like, personally back in 2022, I think it was, early 2022. So I wasn't shit. Like, I was trying to stream at the time. I was trying my hand at content creation. And we had a disagreement, or I disagreed with him about political tactics, because, believe it or not, the ruthless attack dog Destiny went through a long arc where he was very much Democrats just need to be like Jesus and turn the other cheek, and just let, civility and good faith have its day. And I'm just one of those people that I think that Democrats don't need to try to be Jesus Christ. They need to be the morally superior option, but they don't need to ignore what's going on in politics. And so if politics is a ruthless contact sport, then you need to behave ruthlessly to deter excess from the opponent. So I tweeted at him or whatever, and he was really accessible. He said, "Hey, pop on stream," smiley face. And we had a conversation, and we just kind of had like increasingly frequent interactions that were positive, even when we disagreed. And then I transitioned away from streaming more into like pre-recorded content creation. I dropped like 6 videos a day, and he just kind of became a politics buddy. I don't go in there for drama. I occasionally talk pop culture with him, but mostly it was just about politics. I come in, ask him a question. We'd have a conversation, debate, or I'd give him my opinion, and then I'd fuck off. And so the acquaintanceship like grew over time. I consider him a buddy. He's not a close friend or anything like that. But we've interacted multiple times in person with like, he did a debate with Alex Jones and Jack Posobiec a year or 2 ago in Austin, Texas. I flew down to just watch him in the audience. We interacted then. I've been canvassing with him. And as far as like how I reacted, well, I should also say too, he helped me just by virtue of giving me a platform on his stream. He was already, I think, like 600,000 subscribers, so he was already massive. He was willing to platform small content creators, and I think that it played a big role in helping me become as big as I am today. Even though if you look at like demographically, like in terms of the audience breakdown, like there's very little overlap. But just the fact that he was willing to put me up. Luke Beasley is another one who contributed immensely to whatever success I have. But anyway, as far as Destiny, how I reacted, I mean, listen, I've got a pretty dark sense of humor, so I wasn't particularly offended by what he said. I understand why a lot of people were, and I certainly would never phrase it that way, and certainly not in public. And I also have MAGA family members and friends that if I could easily see them at a rally like that, and if something happened to them, I'd be devastated. Yeah. But the bigger thing he was hitting on about this asymmetry, this double standard, I'm with him 100% on that. I think it's bullshit. I think people need to pick. And maybe groups can't do this. Maybe it comes down to the individual person. But basically, if you're a person that you are going to joke or mock Nancy Pelosi's husband getting cracked in the head with a hammer, then it's fair game. Then we can 100%. Make fun of any sort of thing that happens to Trump or Trump supporters or whatever. Pick a fucking standard. Right. It's either all okay or it's not. And that goes for Democrats too. If it's okay to mock so-and-so, then it's okay to mock Paul, whatever. Just pick a standard. Yeah, and I think he finally broke on that and decided to call it out.
I want to get into the double standard right after we hear this quick word from a sponsor.
Vodka, Evolved, Castile,
Indulge in the Redvolution.
All right, thank you guys. So I want to get into this double standard and grading Trump on a curve, because obviously it's always happened, but it seems, especially, it's only been a few days since this second assassination attempt, and it's gotten so ridiculous, this fucking thing where Trump's a toddler and he can't be responsible for anything he does or says. Like, I know it's eating at you too, but where do you think, do you have any kind of an idea where you think this kind of even comparison came from? Like, why is Trump the guy that always gets the benefit of the doubt to people?
I think that I think there's a reason that centrism appeals to people. It's just this lazy heuristic which appeals to us because it's non-controversial, right? You walk into a room with 10 people, you might be able to infer based on how they talk or if how they dress. You might be able to make judgments based on stereotypes about what their political leanings are. But just as kind of like a safe social heuristic, it's easy to always play the moderate. That means you're going to piss people off the least, or at least equally, right? You're less likely to be particularly offensive. And I think it's not just people in social situations. I think it's even experienced journalists and veteran journalists. And so the media plays a huge role in this, because the media and the public, there's this feedback loop. What the audience wants will influence what the media produces, but what the media produces also influences what the public wants. And again, it's just this feedback cycle. And so when you have an electorate which exists in a duopoly with two major parties with two different worldviews, the thing is, okay, we have to offend them both equally, please them both equally. We can't swing in one favor because then it's unfair. And we equate fairness with equality, balance, right?
Right.
And Trump is the first politician of his caliber that has really upset this. Now, I would argue there have been terrible Republican presidents in the past. In my opinion, Presidents W. Bush and Presidents Reagan, that those two presidents were bad in their own ways, but they were also civil and charming and charismatic,
Correct.
and they observed the niceties of politics.
Right.
Donald Trump disrupted that in a way we've never seen before. But the reflexive heuristic is, I can't even though he is uniquely bad, if I treat him as uniquely bad, then I'm upsetting the balance. And by definition, I must be some sort of liberal shill. And Fox bitches about, the liberal media, and I don't want to give them ammunition. And so they start to reflexively grade Trump on a curve. Don Lemon, former CNN host, when I interviewed him a couple of months ago, he basically admitted that during his time at CNN, there was this reflexive fear about being painted as the liberal media. So they were just very generous to Trump, not realizing that didn't do anything other than make the problem worse. And they still get called liberal media. So it's like, guys, all of this grading Trump on a curve gets you fucking nothing. It gets you nothing. It makes the situation worse, and they're still going to call you the liberal goddamn media. I think that's what it is, and we're living with the consequences of it.
Yeah, I completely agree. The fireworks recently on the Piers Morgan show have been interesting, especially with Cenk and Destiny. Have you been on there yet?
No, I've not been on there. I would love for it to happen. It's not in the works as far as I know. I don't even know if he knows who I am, but yeah, hopefully one day.
And Brian Tyler Cohen has had a couple of good showings on there as well.
And Mehdi Hassan. Mehdi Hassan
Yes.
is another one too. Yeah.
I'm glad that these, Democrat pundits like Cenk and Brian are going on these shows and actually pushing back. Like, I feel like the mouthpieces for our side of the fence have become more aggressive.
Yes.
Especially in, the content creator perspective. Like I never expect, someone from MSNBC, except for Rachel Maddow, to really, go at somebody and their opinions on Trump. But you independent contract or content creators, I'm enjoying watching, because you definitely get more aggressive, and I think that's needed. I mean, about the rhetoric, how many years has it been where MAGA have been calling Democrats pedophiles, like, and Pierce was really having a breakdown about it being the rhetoric, saying that he's a threat to democracy, so he's getting attacked by that. I'm sorry, having 40% of the country believe that you're a pedophile is way more dangerous to your health than you being bad for democracy. Like, so as far as I'm concerned, there's absolutely no limit to how hard we should be going on these motherfuckers.
Yeah, so listen, I mean, I don't know about no limit, but like 99% of everything you just said, I'm right there with you. I think that, listen, my position is, my posture is, and this is where I try not to look a gift horse in the mouth with Destiny, and why I try not to take credit for it or whatever. I have been pushing him, to not help the double standard, actually confront the double standard. And I think that he's a powerful voice in that. I think Mehdi Hassan is another one, and Cenk Uygur.
And that's kind of what I think helped me gravitate to your content originally, is you have a harder edge, in your pushback against the MAGA cult than a lot of other people did. Even Brian Tyler Cohen, even though he was great at doing his short form content, having now seen him do long form debates and him getting more aggressive, like, that's absolutely needed.
It's necessary. Yeah, it's necessary for a couple of reasons. Number one, listen, I understand that there are different motivations and values and principles that those of us on the left have compared to the right, but there are some things that we share. And one of them is, President Clinton famously said, America just collectively, and obviously it's not every American, but collectively, we have an attitude where we prefer strong and wrong to weak and right. And I wish that weren't the case, or maybe we need to insist that strong also be paired with right. But our instinct is towards strength. And Trump is not strong, but he masquerades as strength. Like, he's obviously the most insecure, profoundly narcissistic person in American politics, but people say he tells it like it is. He's strong. And so then you look at other content creators, take politics aside and just look at content creation. People like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, like, what is their posture is, fuck you and fuck your feelings, snowflake. We'll tell you how the fuck it is. And the reductive posture of those of us on the left is, well, I guess we're just gonna hope to, like, persuade you guys. Like, no, we need, I'm not saying all of us need to be this way, but I think there need to be people like Destiny and Mehdi Hassan and others who are like, no, actually, fuck you, because the facts are on our side, and we are smarter than you, and we have a better record than you, and we have better policies than you. And really, the only reason you're competitive at all is because of this political affirmative action, the Electoral College. Like, you all would lose the fair fight. And the metaphor I use is that Republicans in today's political climate are like, I'm not a big guy. I'm in decent shape, but I'm a short guy. I'm a small guy. So imagine somebody my size, 5'8", and is really mean and really drunk in a bar, picking a fight with somebody who's 6'2" and is a gentle giant. I'm banking on that person not beating the shit out of me, right? And that attitude is so unlikable. And again, it's a metaphor, right? I'm just using a metaphor. But that's how Republicans behave in politics. They're outnumbered. They have unpopular policies. They have terrible ideas. They are hypocrites in the extreme. Not every Republican, I'm just saying collectively the party. And they're banking on Democrats just accepting it and not fighting the paradigm, not saying, actually, no, if you want to have this conversation, we are going to have one standard. And if that standard is civility, then we win and you lose because Donald Trump is the least civil person in America. And no, I'm not going to hear about that one time that AOC said something to hurt your feelings, because you know what? I can use Marjorie Taylor Greene. I've got Marjorie Taylor Greene in my back pocket to use against you Republicans. And all those fucking times she's called Democrats pedophiles, groomers. That's a sitting member of Congress. And for every one example you can cite of a Democrat saying something mean to Republicans, I've got 5 to 10 to 20 examples coming from Republicans against Democrats. We are better than you. Our party is better than you. And I'm not going to pretend that we're not. And if you don't like that, change your fucking party. You need to go tell other Republicans, be like, guys, cut this shit out. Stop calling Democrats the party of groomers and pedophiles. Stop calling President Biden, a hair sniffing pedophile. Like, what, you see what I'm saying? We have to break the double standard, because the more we ignore it or tolerate it in the hopes that eventually Republicans will have mercy and start playing fair, they have no incentive to do it.
None.
So going all the way back to Destiny, do I agree with everything that he said and how he said it? No. But the sentiment and the vitriol, like the passion with which he's making this case, I'm proud of him for saying, you know what? No, fuck this. I have been patient. I have been tolerant. Now I'm going to give you just a little bit of your own medicine and expose you for the snowflakes you are.
Absolutely. And I'm here for it. One thing that's been really pissing me off, I don't know if it's happened to you, but it's happened to Adam Mocklear and Luke. Going to these, being brave enough to go into these rallies, and then the MAGA trying to put their hands on them and all this shit. So, just throwing it out there, you guys are going to one of those and you need somebody on your side, I'll be happy to go with you.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it.
6'4", 290, can flip your car with you in it. So just let me know if you ever need any kind of muscle.
I appreciate that, man. I mean, I think what they do, like I've told Luke this. I mean, I've texted, I'm telling, like, man, be careful, because like shit could happen. And what's funny is you track their evolution with it. So Mockler and Luke are both, number one, really nice guys in person. They'll tell you that, but they're fucking brave, man. Like, they'll stand their ground. I mean, they're not stupid, right? They're not reckless. But what I love about them is they don't let themselves be intimidated. And that, especially as young as they are, because they're both in their early 20s, like, that's a maturity and a posture and just a poise that you don't see of people usually of that age in that environment. So I think they're badass.
No, they're very impressive. Very, very. All right. Well, let me gonna wrap up here. Draven, do you want to give out the obligatory call outs?
Yeah, I can do that. I've been quiet long enough. Sorry, I was catching up on some wrestling news. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, every Thursday night is Talking Shit with your boy, Dark Cordz, Draven Grimes. Let's see, we're on Thursday. Every Monday night, we got the original. You like it, you love it, you always need more of it. The original Heel Shit podcast, again, with Dark Cordz, Draven Grimes, where this coming up Monday, we will be going over the top 5 overrated and underrated finishes, kind of to cap off the whole finisher discussion. Really looking forward to that. Let's see, we did that, we did this, we did that. Other than that, the merch. The merch is beautiful. I don't have the energy. It's so late in the week. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Something you may be interested in, Josiah.
God damn it! I was getting to it.
Yeah.
Yes. Son of a bitch.
I started a poll watcher program. So obviously, there's over 150 Trump supporters that are quote unquote poll watchers, ready to go out there and do nothing but really intimidate you into voting the right way. And I started this poll watcher program just to make sure no intimidation goes around in your precinct. If you go to our merch link, there are poll watcher t-shirts, and they're at cost, not a penny of profit on there. Just go out and make your presence felt, and do not allow any intimidation in your voting precinct.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, definitely. I'll check that out. That's a really good idea. And it's catchy as fuck. Poll watcher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then, yeah. So check out all the links. Check out everything. Josiah, if you'll hang on, let me wrap up the show, and I'll be right back. So for Draven Grimes, I'm Dark Cordz. Thank you, Pondering Politics, for joining us tonight. Why do we call it heel shit? Because bad guys do heel shit. Peace.
Heel Shit Podcast, where the bad boys reign, never following the norm, always causing pain.